Hello and welcome to my Happy Cells and Souls YouTube channel. My name is Julie Powers and I'm a licensed Zumba instructor and I'm a partner with the Juice Plus company. And I believe that life is better when you're dancing through it. And my mission in life is to inspire healthy living around the world. But my expanded mission is to create better health at the cellular level and more joy at the cellular level. Because we only get one body while we're here on this big old planet and we need to take care of it. But we also need to be as happy and joyful as possible. And one of the things that I love about my life is that I have gotten to meet some remarkable people. And I believe that everybody has something to share. Everybody can learn from everybody else if we just keep our eyes and ears and hearts open. And it doesn't matter if we share the same beliefs in politics or religion or if our backgrounds are different. It doesn't matter. We can learn something from everyone. And today I am honored to be chatting with my friend Mallory Cash. And we had a very unique way of meeting each other. And I'm going to let her talk about that a little bit if she wants to. But really, it was a matter of I know her mother, and we met through her mother. And it was one of those meetings that was meant to be. And it was definitely something that the planets aligned properly for us to have many conversations. And so, Mallory, what I'd like to talk about today is energy coaching. And I have actually been working with a coach for probably 5 years now who does a lot of things and says a lot of things the same way that you do, but we really work more on goals and staying focused on where we're going in life and being able to have that personal growth and personal change that way, more brain centered, which is really, really helpful and very important to me. But what you've been able to teach me and help me learn a lot about is energy in the sense of aligning my soul, basically, helping me understand how to show up in the world, how I want to show up in the world, and how I want to be my most authentic self to me, and helping me understand different layers and levels of energy that I really didn't think about before, but you make it so easy to understand. So I would love for you to tell us, first of all, how you even got started with energy coaching. I mean, who says one day, I'm going to be an energy coach? So how does that work?
Great question. I feel like I've always been sort of drawn to energy management and relationship dynamics and just kind of understanding why we do the things that we do. But I never thought that it was a career option or something that I could pursue more professionally. And at the time, 2 years ago, I had been working in a corporate job for about 10 years. And I got really sick at the beginning of 2018. And that illness put me pretty much on bed rest full time. And so it wasn't really until that time that I embraced a meditation practice and really started looking at these energetic concepts more closely because I had a lot of time on my hands. And that's when I just fell in love again. And it, helped me as well while I was sick. And so I spent the last 2 years studying, listening to podcasts, and eventually becoming a certified professional energy coach.
So one thing I want to make sure that anybody listening or watching this right now, you may see that the audio and video are not connected. And while this happens frequently on Zoom, it happens more so when speaking with Mallory because of that energy field. I mean, really, you have a natural gift that you've had your whole life that you really didn't even know that you had or understand it until you had your illness. And that was really how you and I became connected, was that I wanted to tap into these special energy gifts that you have. And so whenever we started working with the energy coaching, I know that everything is energy. Everything in this universe is energy, and we have these frequencies and these vibrations, but I didn't know it as well then as I know it now. But I think it's so great that you had that opportunity to have life really just throw you down. I mean, literally throw you down in the shower one day. And, you know, they always say I got hit on the head. You literally got thrown in the shower and pretty much hit your head one day, right? And you were like,
Mhm.
everything changed, where you had this opportunity to really hone these skills and be able to reach out and help people. And you've been practicing this for a while. And when you told me that you were certified as an energy coach, I had no idea, no clue what that meant. But then when you were explaining the anabolic and the catabolic energy and the different layers, can you sort of just wrap up in a sentence or two what that means and what is energy coaching?
Yeah, I don't know that it will be a sentence or two.
3 or 4, 5 or 6, whatever.
um, when I think about energy coaching, I'll start with sort of the overall concept and then talk a little bit more specifically about what I do. But in general, I think of energy coaching as a way to bring more awareness to the unconscious patterns that we hold. And the benefit of that is when we're looking at this energy, looking at how we show up in the world, it allows us to start to navigate more from a place of conscious choice versus defaulting to these patterns that we've put on our whole lives. And so it just gives us more ways, more options to look at our situations and then choose a different outcome. Specifically what I do. Now, I like to start working with clients using an assessment called the Energy Leadership Index. And this assessment measures two things. So first, we would look at your energetic profile, which just means how your energy is showing up for you on a day-to-day basis when things are going the way they normally would. We also look at the energetic stress reaction, which is what your energy looks like when you're under stress. And so under these two concepts, I teach the 7 levels of energy, which is what you're referencing. And these are really, when you look at sort of the scales of consciousness, how we can kind of break down these more intangible ideas into a shared language so that when I'm working with people, we have, the same ideas and concepts of talking about energy. And, I think it's really important to point out that this, in my teachings of the levels of energy, it is not this is the only way to understand energy. I'm simply providing one perspective of,
Right, which I think is really important, because people look at this, some people have like this preconceived notion that this is kind of weird, it's out there, versus some people are looking at it as science. And it's just like you said, wrapping some vocabulary around it so that you have the language to talk about. Because I know that when we did my assessment, it was very eye-opening and very frustrating, but you were showing me that there were certain things that if we just have the right language to talk to each other about it, then I can understand more about what I want to change about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And even in the changes, it's not that we're doing anything wrong. It's more so giving you the power of choice so that you can relate to it differently if you choose to.
Right. And that's where I always tease you and say, if you could just sit on my shoulder all day long, so that when these things and people and triggering events hit me, you can just go, all right, this is one of those times. You would normally go to this layer. Let's try this layer. So it's not that easy. It's not that
exactly. Well, and I love that you brought up that perspective, because it gives me the chance to sort of talk through this example in the sense that when people want to do energy coaching, they're not coming to me like for an answer. It's not like I have this package deal and you do the thing and then that's it. It's a continual process, and ultimately like that is up for you to decide how you want to navigate it. I'm just the reflection to say, okay, here's what's happening, or here's another viewpoint. Which one do you want to take a deeper look into? And it is very hard work.
Right, right. And I think too, it's very important to point out that you are not a trained, licensed counselor, therapist, social worker, but there are things that come up in conversations that normally would be discussed in those settings, but not from a point that you are providing any professional services in any way. You're just helping reflect back what we're thinking and feeling. So I know that, sometimes people can get a little confused, because I know there were times that I'm like, can't you just solve this? Can't you just tell me what I need to do? And you're like, no, I can't.
Yeah,
That's not my
exactly.
job. But no, it's so helpful because, like I was saying before, this is who I want to be. I want to be more authentic to who I am. And that's who you are helping me become.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about that, because if I'm true to myself while I'm here on this planet, being as joyful as I possibly can be and taking care of myself as well as I could possibly can, then that's what I'm supposed to do. If I happen to bring some light and joy into other people's lives along the way, that's even better, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it sounds like you really love what you do, and that you've had this opportunity to change course completely, because you were in corporate America and, living out on the West Coast, and things were very different. And now you live in the small town, rural area, and you're dealing with energy coaching for people all across the country and all different walks of life. So tell me why you love that so much.
Yeah, it's something I've grown to be incredibly passionate about. First of all, because it changed my life. I know, when I got sick and started this meditation practice and looking at the energy, it really shifted my perspective and brought me to a place of having much more peace and acceptance on everything that was happening around me with these huge life changes. And I just knew in my soul how important this work would be for others. And the other reason I love it is because it's not stagnant, meaning it's not just this one thing that you learn and then you're done. Like, it is ever evolving, ever changing, and it allows me to continue my growth even though I want to serve in this way. It just continues to evolve.
Right. I mean, that's what's so fun about it too. And I'm sure that with the different types of clients that you work with, and if you could tell us, like, what kinds of people are you working with right now? I mean, you got me, who's kind of a wacko sometimes. And then you have like normal people too that you're working with.
Well, everyone shows up as their normal, beautiful self. But typically, I'm working with people that are going through their own spiritual awakening, or some type of major life transition. But they're ready to do the work, meaning they're at a place in their lives where they want to focus on personal development and this type of soul work. As I said, it is hard work. And so it's not necessarily easy because we're turning that reflection inward on our own stuff and how our stuff shows up in the world. And so, I'm working with people that are ready to make that commitment. I like to think of it as, this is kind of silly, but if you think about your spiritual awakening process, I think of it as if like you're in a vehicle and you're driving down the highway, okay? But you've lost all the mirrors on your car. So you can still see around you. There's still forward momentum. You're still going to evolve. Like this is already happening. But when you add in an energy coach into that process, it's like you've put all the mirrors back on your vehicle. So now you're seeing all these different perspectives and reflections that may have been limited for you before. And so it's just, that's where I come in, is to serve as that reflection.
Right. I think that's a really good analogy. I will say that, I mean, I know everybody has their own issues and things that they're dealing with and their own plan for why they would seek out energy coaching. We had this mutual learning agreement for us, but I know that I got a lot more out of it. But one of the things that I found was really eye-opening was just basically learning that things are not my job. They're not my job. And I know that we weren't going to talk about me specifically because you're honoring that privacy, but I'm kind of an open book. And you know, that was a really big deal because I have been in charge and in control, or pretend in my own little world that I'm in control of things that of course I'm not. Um, but there have been so many things in my life that I thought I had control of that were absolutely not in my control, absolutely 100% not in my control. But I felt like I had to be somehow part of that, and, you know, checking off my list and getting things done and staying in activity and all of these things. Whereas you showed me that that's not always the case. And that is something that I wish that more people could understand, is that we're not in control of all of those things. We can only be in control of what's in us at this very moment. And if we are happy and content and satisfied at this moment, then we should be able to feel as much joy as possible. But when we start putting those things around it, that, well, I'm in charge of this, I'm in charge of this, but I had to learn that a lot of things were not my job. And letting go of that is really challenging for me. And I still find myself many times saying, oh, I need to, you know, whatever it is, 1, 2, 3, ABC, got to get it done. I can make a difference. I can change that. And other times I'm like, that's not my job.
Mm-hmm.
That's
That's
not my
exactly right.
job. So I know that, you know, that's just one little tiny thing that can be so huge for a lot of people. But each person that uses you for help will find their own thing. That is one that just stands out for me. Um, and so I think that if somebody's wanting to connect with you to even, you know, do one of the assessments or to find out what would be the best thing for them, they should just go to either what your Instagram page, which is MLC underscore coaching, or
Mm-hmm.
to your website, which is mlccoach.com. Is that correct?
That is right. Yeah. So Instagram or my website is the best way to get in contact. And that can be however you prefer. If you just want to explore these concepts more, I'm happy to always talk about energy and consciousness. Or you can see more specifically my services listed on the website.
Fabulous. So is there anything that you would like to share with people just as a last whatever, you know, if it's something that you want to make sure people know about you or about energy in general or anything, now's your chance.
Now's my chance.
Now.
I just want to emphasize, you know, how powerful it is to have the power of choice back, and where we see our energy go when we're taking the time to reflect back on that. Because I know, especially at, you know, times like these, it's been a rough year, and there's a lot of heaviness and stress and worry, and that's all energy. That's all of our energy being used and being put forward in some way. And it doesn't have to feel so bad. It doesn't have to feel so draining when we bring more awareness to the possibilities at play. And that's really what I'm here to share and talk to with people, because I want everyone to feel good, and no matter how difficult the life circumstance is, like, let's talk it through.
Right, right. Well, what I hear you saying is that there have been many people that have suffered from powerless feelings. And when they feel that they have no power, then they go into fear and desperation. And you help people reflect back and understand that they do have the power within, and they just have to figure out where that energy lies and how to shift it into what is going to give them back their power. So I appreciate that, and I highly recommend people to connect with you and to see what might fit for them.
Thank you so much, Julie. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you for being here and being part of my life.